the mistake we as owners make is we believe happiness comes just with money. And for me, actually, happiness for people is four things that are important. It's the learning that they get, the time that they get for themselves, the social connections that they create within the business. So if I have great friends, I may not want to leave. I may be very happy with their friendships and enjoying working with them, working with the team, working with my boss. And the fourth one is money. So a lot of people don't means when we talk about employee happiness, we just look at the money side. We don't look at the three other sides, right? And sometimes a lot of people value that, but they don't talk about it, right? And we measure all this.
Hello, and welcome to Indian Explorers. In this podcast, we talk about Indian success stories. I am Sabrina, and together with my co host Amit, we will get to understand the journey of our guests and what really drives them. The optimism, patience, courage, idealism, these are the attributes we want to bring to life in this podcast. So if you enjoy the show, please subscribe, share it with others, and as always, introduce us to our next guest. Hi, Amit. How's it going?
Good morning, Sabrina. I think this is the earliest recording we've done to date. Is it 7:30 in
Yeah.
the morning for you?
Yeah, it's 7:30 in the morning and having guests on the other side of the country, which is always exciting, but that means the life of a podcaster, waking up early.
Or the side of the world, not country.
I did say, see, that's why it's early.
It's okay. Sabrina, last week we started the wins and fails, and I don't think I gave you an opportunity to discuss your
Mhm.
fail. Why don't you go ahead this week and
Thank you.
give us your week and your wins and fails?
Well, thank you. And I'll keep it short. I thought my fail was going to be the Miami Heat losing the NBA Finals. But in fact, I read this morning that there was a shooting in Denver after the finals when Denver won. I think 11 people were shot, nine have been injured, maybe all 11. The problem is it's even a bigger failure because it wasn't on the top list of my news this morning. And it's a crisis we have here in the US. No one's really talking about it. So I would say, yeah,
Yeah,
that's in
very
fact my
sad.
failure this week.
It is very sad, but I've decided for my wins and fails. My fails is not going to be any more three things: gun violence in America, Ukraine war, and Trump. Those
Yeah.
three are not weekly failures.
Yeah,
They're failures are always.
exactly.
So,
It's a
but
yearly
it is
failure, unfortunately,
it is
until
very
things
sad.
start improving. Yeah.
Yeah,
I do have a win though this
great.
week. Um, I also read that the state of Illinois is going to prohibit book bans. I don't know how
Okay.
much you know about book bans in the US, but it is a huge issue here. And I am an advocate for prohibiting book bans. I actually joined my daughter's school committee. I applied to be the parent advocate in case anyone had challenged a book. Luckily, they did not need me because no one had challenged a book. But it is a hot topic here, and I hope that Illinois is the first state, and other states will start to follow. I think states like Florida, Texas, where I live, I think they will have an issue with this, but I think it's a step in the right direction.
Did I read it right that in Florida, if one parent is against a certain book for certain photographs or sexual
Hmm.
content, they're allowed to have that book removed from the library?
Absolutely.
One
Up there.
parent?
It's Yep, absolutely. And it depends on the library or the school. It's on a local level. So if a parent challenges it and the school decides their challenge is valid, they can remove that book. And it happens here in Texas all the time. In fact, the school district where my daughter goes to school has one of the highest book bans in the state of Texas.
I even read that To Kill a Mockingbird. The
Mhm.
classic To Kill a
It's a
Mockingbird.
classic. You're taking away classics. I mean, you're challenging First Amendment rights. You're challenging, you're taking away discourse that we had as teenagers in school. You're not giving that opportunity to kids now.
Yeah.
And it's a very sad thing. So yeah. And I mean, there's been children's books about, if I read one that two, it's called, let me see. It's called And Three Make Tango, and it's two male penguins who have a baby penguin together. And that was
Okay.
banned in one of the states.
So you're saying America is yet again going along the right direction.
Uh, Once again,
Yeah, once
proud
again.
American, which I really am, though.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on
Um,
to yours.
my win and fail happens to be the same concept, and that's the $3 trillion company, Apple. Apple recently launched, I don't know if you saw the video, the Apple Vision Pro. It's their VR, AR goggles. Actually, it's not VR, it's AR. Do you know
Right,
the
it's
difference,
AR.
Sabrina, between
I
VR and
know
AR?
VR is virtual and then AR is augmented. So
Yeah.
virtual versus real, in
Yeah.
essence,
So,
correct?
so correct. So in virtual reality, like the Oculus of Facebook,
Hmm.
their glasses, you can't see what's going on outside. You are
Okay,
virtually enclosed within what you see on the glasses.
got it.
So with augmented reality, you can actually see and be part of the real world as well.
Okay,
So
okay,
that's the difference. So the Apple Vision Pro is an augmented reality glasses, right? So it's my win and my failure. I'll try and explain. Why do I think it's a win? I think it's a win because when Apple, Tim Cook launches any product, I think it's going to be $1 billion within the next 12 months of sales
right.
once it launches. It's launching next year. I think they announce it soon so that developers can come and work on the apps for their ecosystem, which is what Apple is famous for. Um, to reach $1 billion, the product is priced at $3,500. So that is we don't do public maths, but that's close to 300,000 units.
Okay,
I hope that's right. So that's around 300,000 units. And even if it reached that number, that's $1 billion in sale. Do you know
right.
what Apple sold last year, Sabrina?
How much? I have no idea.
$400 billion.
Oh, that's insane.
Yeah. And out of $400 billion in sale, what percentage or what number do you think iPhone represents?
70%.
Less. It's about
A lot less?
250 billion. No, no, I don't know the
Okay.
percentage, but 250 billion,
Okay.
right? So it's a big number.
Yeah.
But anyway, why do I think Apple's going to win? Is because, like I said, um, Mark Zuckerberg has been working on VR
Hmm.
for at least 2 3 years, spending tens and tens of billions of dollars, and the market has not liked it. Hence, the share price has gone down a lot.
Right.
And since he's cut back on that investment, the share price is back up. But I think if Tim Cook and Mark Zuckerberg spend years and years working on a new ecosystem, I
Yeah.
think it's going to be a winner, right?
Yeah. I agree.
Also, Bob Iger, the CEO of Disney, who left and has come back,
Hmm.
he was actually in the presentation saying you're going to get a theme park experience from day one, putting the goggles on. So
That's cool.
no longer waiting 4 or 5 hours on rides,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Imagine being, what does it cost for courtside seats at the NBA finals?
Oh, like 10. Yeah. It could go up to tens of thousands.
It's unaffordable.
Yeah.
Imagine now putting some goggles on and all of a
And
sudden
you're
you're
right
there
there.
and you're seeing Jimmy Butler dunk because it's right there in your face.
Yeah.
So I think it's a win. The reason why I think it's a failure as well, other than the price point, is because it's kind of ugly. And, you know, people wear glasses to either see or, Ray-Bans to look cool and to be attractive to the opposite sex. I say opposite.
Or same.
let's not,
Yeah.
yeah, or same, let's not go into that. Yeah. So other people saying that it's going to fail because the design, they don't like the fact that there's a cable sticking out and it connects to an external power bank.
Yeah.
So they think, you're
But
going to
you're
be
using
walking around.
that in your home, so no one's gonna see it if it's ugly.
Yeah, so that's my problem, that if you're going to be at home all day, already in America and worldwide, we've got loneliness going up. People are more depressed. People are more attached to
Yeah.
social media. The idea of watching a movie with your daughter and your husband and sharing popcorn and sharing a drink and seeing their eyes is part of the family experience.
Right,
Now, if you
right.
remove that away because you're wearing goggles, goggles is a one-to-one experience.
Yeah.
So I think that's a no-no for me. I think it's going to increase the usage of porn is going to go up tenfold
I think
with this
security will
device.
be an issue.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think for me, loneliness, mental health, the amount of screen time,
Right.
Apple actually only gave the people who demoed the product a maximum of 30 minutes. And a couple of people after 30 minutes said, you know what, I'm getting scars. It was heavy. So I
Really?
know, yeah, I know it's
Yeah.
product number one and
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
going to be
yeah.
many iterations, but the idea that humanity is going to be more lonely and entertainment is going to be more one-on-one as
Right.
opposed to group interaction, especially after what happened with COVID. For me,
Thumbs
it's not the
down.
direction where I think entertainment is going.
Yeah. I'm good with that. I agree with you. And I'm not a big gamer, first of all. And second of all, when the Facebook one came out, the Oculus, it kind of creeped me out. I
Yeah,
tried it on. I feel claustrophobic. I don't like random people. I know there's a security setting, but I don't like random people coming in to talk to me that I don't know. So,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I tried it. I thought it was amazing in terms of the experience for gaming. But at the same time, moment I put it off for about 20 minutes, I was a bit dizzy.
yeah. Well, we'll
Yeah,
have to ask our guest today what he thinks about it since he's a big distributor of various types of products.
sure. Let's do that. Let's bring him on.
Great. So let's talk about our guest. Rohit Dev is the co founder and managing director of Ideas91, a holding company headquartered in out of Dubai for various businesses in the consumer goods space. One of them is Peak, Performance Excellence Achieved Through Knowledge. Peak runs procurement for organizations across the world, including a few Fortune 500 companies, for consumer products. It aims to be the largest advisory and product development company for all products for your home.
Rohit is also the creator of RD, AARDEE, which is a household brand name in appliances present in over 15 countries across the Middle East, Africa, and Asia. And we're going to talk more about RD with him in a few minutes. He's also the creator of the Happiness Playbook, which is the dream child of Rohit. And it's actually the reason why I invited him to join our pod today. So we're going to go into length of what the Happiness Playbook actually means.
And on top of the above, he assists businesses scale up by assisting them raise capital and enhancing their sales channels. And if that's not enough, he is the founding chairman of the YPO, which is the Young Presidents Organization Dubai Downtown chapter, and the founding board member of the Harvard Business School Club of the Middle East. He also sits on the HBS Alumni Board for the Middle East and is the president for TIE Dubai. And there's so much more. So let's get to it. Welcome to our show.
Thank you. Thank you, Sabrina and Amit, for having me.
Of
Pleasure's all mine.
course. We're excited you're here.
Thank you.
I want to start off, Rohit, by saying that when Sabrina and I decided to do this pod, you were, if not the first, you were the first three people that I discussed the idea with. And actually, you gave me advice that we did not follow, but I want to discuss it over here because A, I appreciate the direct advice you gave me. I wasn't sure whether we should go with Indian explorers or Sindhi explorers, given that Sabrina and I are both Sindhi and our initial network is, with the Sindhi, let's say,
Community.
diaspora. Tell us more about that, your rationale behind that.
So, like I said while we were talking earlier, that my personal belief is the world is moving towards niche, right? So you have to become a specialist in what you do. So the content you provide, if it focuses on stories around a community, Indians is a much larger community, Sindhis is a smaller community. So I do think that, and Sindhis actually are one of the few people who got displaced due to partition, and they are present all over the world and have really succeeded in a short span of time. So those stories would be really interesting, and if it's linked to a community, it would help create much more throughput of people wanting to listen in, is my view.
You know what? Listening to you, I can't disagree with anything you said. Sabrina, we're going back to Cindy Explorers. We messed up. We messed up. Cancel the show. Start all over again. No, it's fair points. I agree with everything you said. Um, I spoke to various people. We have friends who are Punjabi, Maharashtrian, all over, and Indians all over the world, not just the diaspora, but people living in India. India today is a gold mine with everyone successful over there as well. And Sabrina and I are thinking of doing this for many years and long term. And we didn't want to leave out, a big chunk of the Indian market. I agree that podcasting should be niche, but I think brown colored people is niche enough for us to begin, and time will tell whether it was a mistake or not. But I do appreciate your candor and your honesty, and yeah, Sabrina, any thoughts on going back, starting all
No,
over
I mean
again?
we've talked about it a few times, and I hope, Rohit, there's not that day where you say I told you guys, but maybe
Oh,
we'll see.
so I love to say, right? It's your dream and passion that creates the
Yeah.
success. Uh, Everyone will give advice, and I always say free advice is generally never to be heard. That's generally the thought process, but uh, it's always what you want to achieve. If you both are passionate about creating something, it does not matter what I say. Frankly, you will be able to create it, and I'm very, very sure you'll be very successful.
Thank you, and we appreciate the advice, even
Yeah,
free
yeah.
one. So, but
Let's
let's now talk about your passion.
correct
Um,
the
the
happiness playbook.
Happiness Playbook. Yes, I've read a little bit. You wrote an article about it. I read about it on LinkedIn, but I'd like you to tell us what this is about and what motivated you to create it, please.
Great. So, two parts to this. I always say, so I've been running businesses now for 22 years. I've run multiple businesses. So, all my learnings is what I wanted to bring into something called a playbook that actually creates success. So, what made me do that was two of my close friends passed on during COVID, and because of that, and they were running large businesses. I said, what is it that they have left behind? So I said, let's create something that creates value. So the first step of that was, how do you measure happiness, right, in an organization? So and I think we'll talk about it in much more detail a little later, but according to me, there are four pillars of happiness. A lot of people talk about company happiness just with creating employee happiness. Now, running a business for 20 some years, you realize that you can keep your employees happy for some time. But if the other pillars are not working, the company will fail. And the other pillars for me are the alignment between the top leadership and the shareholders. The main pillar is the people, your team. The third pillar is the customer, and a lot of businesses forget to measure customer happiness. They assume customer is buying, so he's happy. But the day he stops buying, you can't go back because he's moved on. So a lot of people do not measure customer happiness. And the fourth is the community. I always say, what do the families of your team talk about your business is so critical for your success, because they motivate other people in the community to join your business and be passionate about it. So those are the four pillars. But I started with, and my dream is to create a measure, and I've created the measure on around all four pillars. And my dream is that by 2028, 1 million companies are measuring happiness every month, like they measure sales and profit. So that's what I want to create, right?
That'd
So
be cool.
yeah, I was going to ask, each of the four pillars has metrics within
Yes.
them,
So each
correct?
of them has 9 questions. Those 9 questions measure. The alignment first, in the second is people, the third is the customer, and the fourth is the community. So just to take an example, in alignment, we check, do the top leadership understand the why of the business? So, and that's just one question, right? In the people, we ask the team, do you feel appreciated, right? So that's one example. In the customer happiness, you actually ask, are you happy with the communication of the company, right? So each pillar has 9 questions that we measure, and my playbook actually gives a simple, easy, implementable solve for each of these.
Okay.
I listening to you, Rohit. It's actually depressing me because I can tell you we don't do any of this, and I can guarantee you, if you ask any of my employees, "Are you happy?" they're going to say yes after 6 p.m. when I leave the company. I'm not kidding you. They like nobody feels appreciated, and they all feel underpaid, all of them. Yet every year when we have the annual review discussion, we offer them all, hey, if you're not happy here, no, are you happy here? That's one of the questions I ask. I would say 90% tell me in my face, no, Amit, we're not happy here. Right? They're honest, right? So I tell them, sign the dotted line, resign. I'll give you, a package and leave. I don't want unhappy people in my company. It's not good for customer interaction. It's not good for the bottom line. Yet 0% leave, right? 0% leave. So I obviously will follow up with you after this in terms of getting the actual playbook. How does it work for a company? Do you charge for this service? Is
Yeah.
this
So
a
so
is this a revenue stream for you?
Yes, it is a revenue stream, but outside of that, I share the questions with everybody, right? And I would love to uh, let people use it even for free, right? And how we charge is basically we come in to coach or to create a workshop around those pillars, then we charge. Otherwise, giving the questions, etc., is not. But I'd love to understand, and
Sure.
I think you brought up a very great topic, and I'm very passionate about this. And you feel they're not happy, right? And I think deep
They
diving
tell
around
me,
this. Yeah, yeah.
Rohit. They
Okay.
tell me in my face.
So is it a culture that if I say I'm not happy, you'll increase the salary? Is that a culture that's created in the organization? So that's what one has to understand. But outside of that, the mistake we as owners make is we believe happiness comes just with money. And for me, actually, happiness for people is four things that are important. It's the learning that they get, the time that they get for themselves, the social connections that they create within the business. So if I have great friends, I may not want to leave. I may be very happy with their friendships and enjoying working with them, working with the team, working with my boss. And the fourth one is money. So a lot of people don't means when we talk about employee happiness, we just look at the money side. We don't look at the three other sides, right? and
Yeah.
and sometimes a lot of people value that, but they don't talk about it, right? And we
I, I
measure all this.
I have an issue with what you're saying in the sense. So my brother and I, we're equal owners of our company. but I think our leadership and management style is 180, right? So my brother wants the employees to be in the office. We start at 8 a.m., we finish at 6 p.m. We have a 30-minute lunch break. If it was up to him, everybody would take the lunch break the same 1:30 to 2 p.m. at the same time, right? Now, I have a challenge in my e-commerce business hiring professionals because they want to work from home. They want the flexibility. Maybe they follow what's happening in San Francisco, but over here we want them in the office working, right? Just like we pay overtime. If they work half an hour or anything over 15 minutes after 6 p.m., they get paid overtime, right? So if my brother and I, as leaders, are not on the same page in terms of employee retention, employee goals, it's very difficult for them to be happy. So we have right now some people in the office who work from home whenever they want, and some people in the office who actually go into the office and have to mark the timings. So, some are retail, some are wholesale. It's a different culture, it's a different mindset. So I agree with you in one thing. The problem is not the employees, the problem is us, right at the top.
And this is one of the pillars, right? The alignment between top leadership.
Yeah.
So
We
that
could we could do this for hours, Rohit.
yes.
We could we could dissect we could dissect my business as if you're Accenture,
Yeah.
but obviously I wouldn't be paying the Accenture rates. We pay the Cindy rate.
Rohit, before we continue with the playbook, what is your thought on that hybrid work model, the work from
So
home and work in office?
I am
Good question.
I do believe that hybrid works, but not completely work from home. So if it's a complete work from home, to create the culture, you should meet at least once a month with the full team, right?
Okay.
An offsite or something like that. Otherwise, you don't create the culture. The second aspect for me is when people are in the office, you learn from each other, you learn from listening to what the other person is doing. You learn and understand the
Yeah.
challenges someone is facing, and then you appreciate each other's work. That is a very important aspect for creating those social connections.
Yeah.
Like
Agreed.
I said, social connections are also important for success.
Yeah.
So,
100%.
How do you
and
be
Where
and
are
creative
you?
without being together? How do you create? You need a whiteboard, you need to do ideas, you need to see eye contact, you need to see body language, you need to raise your hand and say, no,
very
I
true,
disagree. I think
Right.
you need that, at least in a
very true.
creative setting. If you're a copywriter, maybe you need time alone to write. And now you're
And
using, ChatGPT to do everything
Hmm.
for you.
I think the great stuff that COVID has done has created the work from home culture, but now has made everyone realize the pros and cons around it, right? So
Correct.
it it actually sped up a lot of the work from home. Certain jobs work from home completely fine, right? And those will continue. Pre-COVID they were there, post-COVID they will continue.
Right. I wanted to ask, where are you right now towards, are you on track to hitting that 2028 goal
1
So
with
million.
100 million?
1 million. So 1 million happy companies we want to measure. So I'll just give you a statistic. Total number of companies that exist today in the world are 344 million. So my target of one measuring 1 million companies happiness is just 0.3% of the world companies, right? Um, so the first step was to create the questions, the right questions. So we did a pilot with close to 35 companies where we are piloting these questions, understanding is this giving the right metrics month on month or not, right? And we're in that. We're correct. We have close to 700 people's data being collected in the employee side, similarly on the alignment side, etc. So we are then analyzing that data to understand, is this sufficient or there are other things we might have missed, right? So it's a tool development, and I think by end of this year we will have the tool completely ready. Then I think it's easy to scale, right? It'll be available online and people can download and measure and implement, right?
But are you going to implement it like a YPO, where you're going to have a happiness company
Index.
like a
No, no. So
chapter? It's an
so so
index.
it won't be a chapter. So it's supposing it's your company, Amit, right? So it's a measure, right? So every month you will measure it and you will declare your happiness score. You can decide to publish it or you can decide not to publish it as the founder. I do want it to become a famous measure for people to wanting to work with the organization.
So it's a bit like NPS scores
Yes.
for
So
companies,
NPS is
or
customer, right? So
correct, or
NPS is customer driven. This is
or
about
ESR,
yes,
ratings of companies. So
yes,
it's that type
yes.
of a metric.
Metrics. Yes.
Interesting.
So it's a happiness index that we call it. But
Got
outside
it.
of that, the second part is where I told you is where we coach. So the dream is to actually see this whole thing works with companies, and we are coaching companies today to make them become a $1 billion business in revenue as well as valuations.
Okay.
Amit, you better schedule him for you and your brother now for coaching.
They
Yeah,
don't need to be coached,
unicorn.
Mama. They're building a unicorn, I'm sure.
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
unicorn status is not something that I lose sleep
Yeah.
over, to be honest with you. I'm looking more for exiting the country and moving to India than unicorn status. Can you should we go back a little bit and tell us a little bit more about, what are you doing in Dubai? When did you leave India? Can you tell us about that journey?
So I came to Dubai in 1998. My uncle had faced a financial issue and a challenge, and for me, actually, family is very important. At that time, I was a hotshot management consultant in India, but my uncle went through a financial challenge, and I decided to come and help him in 1998, and that's how Dubai came into my life. And I love what's happened to Dubai, and I think Dubai is one of the best cities to live in. So very grateful. With the growth of Dubai came the growth of our business. We worked together until 2009, and then because of misalignment is when we parted ways. So that's the first part of my playbook, right? And how huge wealth got destroyed because of misalignment at the top level. And many businesses, you'll be surprised at the number of people we talk to behind closed doors today on, a lot of people feel it's employee happiness, but actually the bigger one I see when I talk to businesses is the alignment between shareholders, partners, top leadership.
The
Much
owners.
much bigger, much bigger. And
Sure.
that's the white elephant that people don't like to talk about, because people don't want, they don't believe that they should talk about, say, family members, etc., outside.
How did your
Right.
uncle handle it, if you don't mind me asking?
Uncle means uncle had the win situation, I had the lose situation. So i
so,
i
so
was
uncle was
i
smiling.
was I was thrown out of the business, so to speak, and then I started Ideas 91, right? So,
Got it. Got it. So tell us about Ideas 91. What you mentioned that you distribute. Is it a procurement company? Is it a distribution company? Is it an e-commerce company? I mean, that's a lot of things.
so that's why I said it's a holding company. And what we do is we run procurement for a lot of companies. You know the concept of private label. Private label is retailers running their products, their brand. So we run private label in the non-food home space for a lot of retailers. Outside of that, we because my specialty is appliances electronics, we work with a lot of appliance electronics manufacturers globally. Now, thanks to that, we've got into fitness equipment, kitchenware, cookware, electricals, lighting. So we've grown categories and we run procurement, and we do a large value of procurement through our books for businesses.
So is
The second
RD your brand, or is
Yeah, so
RD?
so RD is our brand in
But
Okay.
doesn't
uh,
that compete with the Fortune 500 companies' private labels that you
also.
do?
So we do so many brands, right? So there's a Chinese wall between the procurement that happens, right? So we, for example, I'll give you an example. Just in the appliance space, we work with, say, 22 companies, right? So if we don't create that Chinese wall, it won't work, right? So we safeguard what your proprietary information is with that. RD is, so when I joined. my uncle, and when we set up the business, it was predominantly an appliance and electronics company. When I left, I said, what is it? What are my strengths? Right? So my strength was purchasing very well. We had great relationships. I understood the product, etc. The second part was distribution. So we said we'll set up our brand, which is RD, for distribution, and
Got
that's
it.
how the two parts of the business came about.
China
Okay,
manufacturing,
and mostly China. We
mostly
also
China.
have India, Turkey, Italy. So
Wow.
Rohit, the desirable thing about RD that I'm reading is that it removes plastics from the kitchen,
kitchen, yes.
right?
So
Why? What made you do that?
So I think one question you've asked later on is about uh, Gen Z and uh,
Yeah.
millennials. What's the difference? So I think the younger generation, all for everyone, it's become very, very important to understand the purpose of a brand, understand what the product materials are. I, at least my generation, never read the labels. But nowadays, I see kids, they want to read the label. They want to see, is it um, proper? Is it following all the norms? Is it healthy? Is it not healthy? So thanks to that, we evaluated and we realized a lot of people want to move away from plastic. So we heat a lot of product, etc., in the kitchen, and we actually created the first ceramic kettle. I'll send you guys a picture, and next time you guys are traveling to Dubai, I'll give that to you as a gift. But so made of, in India there's a matka. So we created a electric kettle made of that matka material. So just imagine, right? So we innovate a lot of products to remove plastics from your kitchen shelf where food and water come into contact. For example, water dispensers, right? Water dispenser, if you take out the water bottle, has a plastic tank. We actually are the pioneers of creating the stainless steel tank. So like that, we've done a lot of things for the brand to create a differentiated product, as well as appreciating what the consumer wants.
Do you distribute to the US?
Not to the US. We
No?
distribute
Okay.
in Middle East, Africa, India.
Okay.
Come to Chile before US. Yeah, I'll help you out in Chile. I was just
Yeah.
thinking, I have a big plastic water tank in my kitchen. Everything you're telling me is depressing me, Rohit. I don't know what to do after this.
I
I'm gonna just throw it
not
out.
do that.
Recycling.
I thought I'm the champion of happiness, and now this is the third time you talked about being depressed thanks to me.
Oh, honestly, you know, what's that phrase? Having no knowledge is sometimes better than having too much knowledge.
Very true. Very true.
You know,
Uh,
I think we need to jump into the main topic, which is success. Sabrina and we ask all our guests what their definition of success is and how has it evolved over time, if it has evolved over time.
so, for me, I would have said, uh, Rohit at 20 would have said, success leads to happiness. Today, I say happiness leads to success. So, what is success for me is actually being able to do what you love and enjoy doing on a daily basis. And today I'm living that, right? So for me, that's what success, and it comes with some level of financial freedom, etc., right? So and I do believe a lot of, and I so coming back to the Gen Z question, a lot of the younger generation feel, um, and I have this young staff who works with me out of one of my offices, and he asked me, how do I make um, he says in Indian, he's based out of India, 10 crore rupees, which is $1.5 million a year. I said, rob a bank or start working hard for the next 5, 7, 8 years, and hopefully you'll reach there.
Good
So he
point.
said, no, in 1 year. So
In one year.
Yeah. Sounds like a millennial to me. No offense to all the millennials listening right now, but it's the
Just,
stereotype, right?
just cancel everybody, Sabrina. Cancel everybody. Rohit, is happiness a choice?
happiness is 100%. It's so happiness is something that 100% everyone personally can achieve, right? And Arthur Brooks, renowned professor at Harvard, talks about what are the important aspects of personal happiness. Okay, you should have a purpose, you should believe and have close relationship with your family. And he actually associates this with oxytocin, the chemical that gives
Mhm.
you happiness. He says, you know, a lot of us have stopped spending time with family. And he gives an example with a pet. If you have a pet, when the pet comes, the amount of happiness you create by being with a pet, he says 50 years back, that was with families. Today, because of nuclear families, it's
Yeah.
also become pets. So, so purpose is one, family is the other one. The third one is you have to believe that there is a power above you, a bigger power. It not necessarily God, but
Hmm.
maybe
Spiritual.
Like I was
uh,
gonna say, spiritual being,
spiritual as well as the
the
environment, right?
environment.
So that creates happiness, right? And that's an important one. What is your purpose? And you know, so I doing this happiness, I actually study a lot on this happiness. Can you imagine, there was a study done by MIT, and that study actually measured happiness in different professions. One profession, they found people to be the happiest, and the same profession, they found people were the unhappiest. Guess what was
Teaching.
that profession? No,
Teachers.
no.
Mothers.
uh, Cleaners in the hospital. Okay, people who clean, patients, and they clean everything. Now, they the study put the two groups, the people who felt very happy in one room and the people who felt very unhappy in another. The people who were put in a room where they said they were the happiest were asked, "What is your profession?" And so were the people who were the unhappiest. The
Hmm.
unhappiest said, "We are cleaners." Okay, we clean people's dirt and whatever means,
Hmm.
everything. What did the people who were the happiest say?
They are protecting future generations and taking care of people's health.
Yeah, they are healers. They are helping people heal and become better and become happier and go back to the family. So, same profession, just described in a different manner, helps you. So, a purpose, a lot of people say purpose. So, you would have all heard of this: love what you do or do what you love, right? Love what you do is what 95% of the population gets. Okay, now if you have to love what you do, start creating that purpose of what you love. Okay, so for example, if you love to learn, define your job on, hey, I'm learning daily, I'm learning this daily, right? So then you start loving what you do. So that's my
It's a
take
good
on
one.
creating
Yeah, I love that.
happiness.
I actually, when you said the hospital caring story, I thought that the people who were happy were the ones who were cleaning babies and children's rooms, and the
Yeah,
people who were unhappy were cleaning
those
the 80 plus year
ageless,
old people,
no,
where the slightly harder to clean and maintain.
yes, yeah.
Rohit,
So
who has been your inspiration or role models in your life?
my mom and dad have been great role models. When I was young, my dad used to travel a lot for business. So my mom brought us up. So I think she did a great job as a single mom, being there for us all the time.
Mhm.
And from my dad, I learned business. He actually told me a great businessman is someone who can sell a comb to a bald man, not once but multiple times. So
That's fantastic. That's
Yeah,
stuck with you all these years, right?
yeah.
uh,
I wanted to. Sabrina and I spoke in the intro about the Apple Vision Pro. Their new ski augmented reality product, which Sabrina wanted to know your thoughts since you're a
Mhm.
distributor of consumer tech. What are your thoughts on the product? Is it a win? Is it a fail for Apple and for humanity.
So I haven't used the product, but what I see of it, and I've used the Oculus. So I and should say it or not say it, but it's claustrophobic. But I was talking to some brilliant people and in the tech space, and they said it's the step is the first step. Go back and look at the first iPhone. Go back and look at the first Nokia. Go back and if you remember, I don't know if we had the communicator, right, the brick, right, and today what's the phone. So they said don't look at it as what it is today, look at it what it can be in the next 10 years, right, or in the next 7 years. So that's the thought
It
around
will
it.
continue to revolutionize.
It will continue to become much thinner like the glass, etc. I
Yeah.
worry about privacy. I worry about what will life come to, that we, anyway with the phones we're so into ourselves that, but,
Yeah. No, we said this exact same thing.
uh,
What does your everyday look like? A normal day for you? You are so busy. You have the playbook, you have the company, you are,
A mentor. He mentors companies as well.
yes, exactly. What does a normal day look like for you?
so we so I've intertwined everything, but uh, that's why if you see all threads go back and get intertwined. But a normal day, I generally wake up early. I love to wake up early and do
Early,
all
like what time?
Like
uh,
4:30, Steve Jobs,
oh, between
Tim Cook
4:30
time,
and 5.
or
Between 4:30 and 5, mostly 4:30, but yeah. And
Sign of
4:30 to
success.
4:30 to, I'm not sure, but yeah, it's fun time, it's my me time. So
Yeah,
4:30 to 7 I do all the tick boxes, like meditate,
Jim.
exercise, etc., right? So journal, then reach office by 8 o'clock. 8 to 1 is focus on the core business with the team, etc., work on that. And post one post lunch is the fun part, mentoring, talking to people, enjoying the day, etc.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Very
It's a good
good.
one. Yep.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about YPO. We learned about it in our last episode. Sabrina and I, we didn't know what a YPO was. And you're the founding member. So, what gets you to found, to start something like a YPO?
Yeah, so
What are the benefits?
I didn't start YPO. YPO was
No, in
started
Dubai.
way back in, yeah. So in Dubai, I started one chapter, right? So YPO did exist in Dubai. There were two other chapters, but because of the number of people they take, I started the third chapter. Um, I'm always passionate about, like you saw, right, Harvard Business School, TIE, YPO. So I think these are all areas where we can learn. I think YPO is the best organization where I've learned the most. I don't know what you know about YPO, but so YPO is international. It has around 33,000 members globally. It's by invite only, and it's for people who run a business of above a particular size. Uh, the best part of it is, and the person who invented YPOs said that it was because he was lonely at the top. And because he was lonely, he needed a peer group of similar peers to talk about his issues. So we actually have something called a forum, which meets once a month. It's 8 to 10 people, closed door. What gets discussed there doesn't go out. So it's your advisory board. Outside of that, YPO has exclusive programs with Harvard, Stanford, Singularity University, London Business School, INSEAD. A lot of learning. Plus, the annual conference of YPO is considered second only to the World Economic Forum. So you get to meet business owners across the world and learn. So that's about
I
YPO.
started a podcast called Direct to Chile because I was lonely. I wanted to speak to other founders about the experience in doing business in Chile to learn from them. So I thought a podcast would be a good way to do that. But maybe I should start Chile Chile is starting
Wipe your.
some
Uh,
organization. Yeah, I should do that.
you should
Okay,
look at Wipe Your. Chile has a chapter. So,
I did last year, and it said that you have to be under 45. I just reached the sale target for the business, and because I just checked it this week after speaking to our last guest, and they said up to 45 years, and I'm 46. So I said, you know, maybe I'm too old to join a YPO. Anyway, I wanted to ask you about HBS, Harvard Business School, the brand name in education. I have something against these Stanfords and Ivy League schools. I don't like the fact that they have 50, 60, 80 billion dollars in cash lying there to do. They invested in bonds and they invested in equities. Instead of rolling up campuses all over the world, they like the fact that a million people apply for like 300 spots. Why aren't they expanding geographically? Not that you might be the right person to ask, but it's something that since you
I
went to
I have
HBS, I wanted to pick your brains.
I have no I have no insight into that question, so I don't want to even hazard a guess. But I'll tell you the great thing about limiting versus exploding everywhere, right? So you can actually control the quality of what the output is, right? That's an important aspect. But I do believe that they have expanded in terms of a lot of their education. They've not set up campuses in different places, but they do programs in various countries. So India has a lot of HBS programs happening. China has a lot of HBS programs happening. A lot of Middle East, Dubai has a lot of HBS programs happening. So they do not have a campus, but they do programs. Outside of it, I think the one of the best things around HBS or any of the Ivy Leagues is what you learn there is phenomenal.
Okay. We'll add that to our to-do list, Sabrina.
Exactly. Sign us up.
Got it. Rapid fire time, Sabrina?
Yes, rapid fire. So, Rohit, we're going to do rapid fire questions. First thing that
Yeah,
comes to your mind. We used to answer this, but now we just want to. We'll plug in if we have an answer, but we're going to keep this focused on you. So, first one, the best gift you have ever received.
the best gift I have ever received. Uh, that's a good one. I don't have an answer to that, but something
I
my
have
wife
one.
gave me.
Okay,
Something my
you first.
wife gave me, but don't want to talk what it is. But
Okay, okay. But at
Oh,
least we
okay.
put it in your mind again.
yeah,
Okay.
uh,
Sabrina, when I was 18, a friend of mine who I think you met at Ravine's wedding, her name was Trishna.
Hmm.
Trishna sent me a card, and the card read something along the lines that I have decided to sponsor this child's education. Your friendship to me has inspired me to think about other people and making them happiness and preparing them for their future. She said it a bit more eloquently than what I'm saying now, but I thought it was a beautiful gift because you're helping somebody else. It was a nice gift.
Absolutely. That's absolutely beautiful.
and well, if he said it, I'll say it. It's every time Deepika talks about how happy she is to be with me, as well as she talks about my success and how passionate I am. And she generally does it when I'm not listening. So,
Yeah. Gifts of words, right?
gifts of words.
I've never heard my wife compliment me, period. Full stop. Never. You're a reader. I haven't asked you, but I can tell you're a reader. What's the best book that you recommend to anybody? Which is the book that you gift?
So, according to me, currently Atomic Habits, right? I think uh, because of this huge distracted world, it's important to create habits, right? And uh, even tasks that you do at work, I actually now define that as habits in my happiness playbook. And a very important aspect about habits is, according to me, is a concept which I talk about a lot is time blocking. You actually block a time to do something, right? And if you create that habit of time blocking, you'll be very successful. So
It's a good one.
clubbing
I think I've
atomic
got it.
habit with time blocking is um, uh, he doesn't talk about time blocking. He talks
Yeah.
about the habits, and for me, the habit that got created was time blocking. It's a great book.
Oh, I'm writing
Sabrina?
it down. Mine is I love reading fiction, and in the introduction we talked about banned books, and one of them that is banned in many states around the U.S. is The Lord of the Flies. I read it either in middle school or high school, and it's about survival, adventure. It's just one that I've read a couple of times and always enjoy it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. In
Mine, we
fiction, I
mentioned
love
Bob Iger.
Jeffrey Archer, but yeah,
Jeffrey Archer.
Okay.
sorry.
We mentioned Bob Iger in the intro, Sabrina. He's written an autobiography called The Ride of a Lifetime. And he
Okay.
talks about his 15 years as a
Walt
CEO.
Disney.
Yeah. And he talks about, the acquisitions that Disney made, including Star Wars, Pixar, and just phenomenal, phenomenal book. Really recommend it.
Excellent. This is a short one. Hollywood or Bollywood, Rohit?
For me, is much more Bollywood.
Bollywood. Okay.
Yeah. You've lived in Dubai. Which is the best city to live in as a bachelor and as a married
Dubai.
person with kids?
I think both Dubai.
Both Dubai, is it?
Yeah.
That's
So,
interesting.
but yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Last week, the our guest said the same thing, Dubai. So
Yeah.
I
He
think
said the
we're
same
going to need to
thing.
make a trip soon.
And our first guest actually just moved to Dubai as well, Sabrina,
That's right.
Amit Kaswani.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
So
We're missing out.
a lot of people are moving to Dubai. I think it's a very it's a great economy.
Yeah,
It's open for everyone, open for business. I think it's one of the best places to be.
Yeah. Last
fantastic.
question, Sabrina. You want to ask it?
Sure. If we gave you a billboard in New York City and you could write whatever you wanted to on that billboard,
On Times Square.
yes, in Times Square, what would your billboard say?
Measure the happiness of your company and become part of the 1 million happy company club.
Love it.
Too
Excellent.
long. Too long. I
So,
want it shorter. Too long. It doesn't fit.
so just 1 million happy companies. Get your company there.
Yeah. Let me add one more question, Rohit. We talk about happy companies. I want to know what makes you happy. Tell me about your personal happiness, not the companies, not
Yep.
your wife's. What makes you happy?
My personal happiness is much more about understanding people's businesses. I'm very passionate about businesses, right? I love to understand what you do, how do you run your business, what are the positives, what are the negatives, what I can learn from in your business. So I love to, and that's another thing that I learn a lot from YPers, because people are running such different varied businesses. I get to meet people in different businesses, right? From a food industry to a clothes retailer to a manufacturer to a technologist. So you get to learn how people have created so much wealth through different businesses, right?
Rohit, any plugin, social plugin, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter handle, if somebody wants to reach out and know more about the Happiness Playbook?
Yeah, and LinkedIn Rohit Dev, right? So should
Great.
be easy find, but yeah.
Sounds good. Rohit, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this. We are always learning from our guests, and this has been no different. Thank you so much, Rohit.
Thank you so
Absolutely,
much.
Rohit.
Thank
And
you.
I can't wait to see you hit that target and pass that 3% of companies worldwide.
0.3%.
Point three.
Point
0.3%.
three, point three, but it's going to be 3% plus.
Yeah.
So, um, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm
Thank
going
you,
to say congratulations
Sabrina
now
and
on
Amit.
starting it and can't wait to see what happens. So, thank you. And this has been another episode of Indian Explorers. If you enjoy what you heard, which I'm sure you did, please hit subscribe and share this along with others. Thank you.
See you next week.